Alright, so I had a minute here, not long enough to probably play another game, but maybe enough to quickly run through some of the previous games and do like more like post-mortem analysis on them to see the mistakes, things I did well, things I missed. And so this is game 2. It was the Queen's Gambit Accepted. And I briefly looked through this one already, but I just wanted to do it again here. Okay, here we go. So Queen's Gambit Accepted, and here I remember debating the merits of some different moves, like e3. I think this this is technically, like, it's a book move, but it's not the best. It kind of wants me to go here, huh? I mean, they're all fairly equivalent. You know, white keeps their very slight edge. But this one, it's not as not quite as strong. I think the idea is that black can kind of maybe bully this knight, and then it will have to relinquish its control over e4, something like that. But anyway, we continue, knight again. And we're still in book, and this is the moment I know I should have captured here, and instead I played queen c2. I guess if you play queen c2 right now and put off this recapture for one more move, black has chances to hold on to it, or at least make it tricky to take. So that's why we see this slight fluctuation on the eval bar. It's just that difference. Taking is more accurate. Okay, yeah, it wants him just to hold the pawn because I haven't taken it yet, but he captures and allows me to do that, so I didn't get punished for my mistake. And yeah, I was really worried about b5 in this game, and I spent a lot of brain power trying to prevent it. And I ended up inducing weaknesses on my own side in that effort, and this became a critical square for him, c4. a4 is weak too. I mean, obviously this isn't good. You know, like, I've played pretty well so far, up almost like 2 pawns in the eval bar, and this gives about half of that advantage back because I should have just castled, and I created weaknesses that I didn't need to. I should probably study in the future about how to handle c5, just because it's kind of a scary move. But anyway, he didn't even play it. And then we castle. And, I mean, this seemed like reasonable to me, I think. He's grabbing control of this weakness, but he probably just, I mean, computer has other ideas, undermining, and if he captures I can't recapture, so I have to push, and white's still slightly better here, but it's just kind of about like creating complications when you're behind, playing well and making things hard for your opponent, especially in a 15-minute game where you don't have all day to think. So he plays there, and it wants to set up this discovered attack, and so like that's another, you know, inaccuracy on my part. He has to spend a move playing h6, which is useful in any case. You know, you get the flight square for the king, and you prevent it from being captured when you win a tempo against the knight with e5. So good to keep in mind that tunnel visioning this battery for the check on h7, not always best. You get like tricky chances with it sometimes, but I think as I move up the rating ladder, that's going to be harder and harder to deceive my opponents about that. So I dropped back to a2, and then I became critically aware of how weak this square is, and there's not a whole lot I can do about it. Just continuing with the plan, getting this ready, and he, you know, obviously sees it. This is just a haymaker punch. It's really easy telegraphed. And then rook d1. I can't remember what I was thinking. I played this game. I played this game yesterday. I can't remember exactly what I was thinking here. Well, you're opposite the queen. You know, I had ideas of going bishop h6. That's always good just to grab these dark squares, but after it chases the rook away, it's not so easy to contrive anything useful for me, so I didn't spend too long like thinking about that. Like maybe there is something there that's pretty obvious, and I just didn't spend the time necessary to find it. We're both at about 9 minutes here, so as we're into the middle game. Rook d1. Oh, I wanted to move this knight and keep the pawn defended. That's what it was. So I wanted to come to e5, but I drop the pawn if I do that. And here, this is inaccurate. I think he wanted to like get his dark squared bishop here and kind of like reverse fianchetto it coming from the f6 square. Or maybe he wanted to go out f5. I don't really know what the thought was. The computer doesn't like it. And then e5, liked that move. I was happy to find it. We're targeting his backward pawn, but I wasn't able to exploit the tactical opportunity here that comes next. I wish I would have seen this. Knight takes b5. You know, it's a sacrifice, maybe, if you could call it that, but the queen hangs, so you can't recapture. And so it's not really a sacrifice. It's just a big tactical shot, and white is clearly better here. If I see that, however, I didn't. Something I have to keep in mind on is undefended pieces. Queen is undefended here. If you can exploit that, if you can notice it, then you can, you know, try to creatively come up with ways to exploit it. And I didn't even register to me that it was undefended here because it's so deep in his own position. It's I don't know. You just don't think that there's weaknesses back there, but there was. And what am I doing here? What was I doing here? Was I trying to swing out? I think I was trying to come in. I can't remember. I don't even remember what the plan was. Maybe I'll have to go look at the footage and just see what I was thinking. But okay, he pushes here, which I knew was probably bad because it's very weakening around his king. Pushing to f6, and I made a critical miscalculation. I wanted to sacrifice the knight, and I was thinking he recaptures, and then I push, and this battery is back in business. I overlooked that he can blunt this entire attack by simply playing f5 here, and it's supported by the pawn. And I realized not long after this that it doesn't work, and now my attack has gone nowhere. There's nothing I can really do, and I gave my pretty strong advantage back in just one decision. So I wish I would have noticed that. Probably should have. It's not that complicated. The bonus for me here is that I can still press, and even though I'm like objectively worse after I gave him material to open his king, and he has plenty of defense, he's at 7 minutes, I'm at 5 minutes, so there's not a ton of time, and you can kind of like, in these positions, if you can find good moves, it's easier to press than it is to defend, like psychologically, I think. So I had like, you know, that going for me, which you'll actually see here in the game. And I wasn't sure. I thought g4 was crazy here, but in the end I kind of decided like this is not the time to be timid. I already sacrificed the knight. So I was just kind of going for broke and hoping that I could force him to make a mistake in this attack, because I have like pretty good scope for these pieces. And if I can try to like break apart these pawns a little bit, maybe I can open this up. And this is the only way that I could see to do it. G4 is a crazy weakening move. You're giving away these dark squares and you're opening up the diagonal. And the whole time I was kind of wondering if he was ever going to play this and push C5. And he never did. But anyway, G4, moving on. Knight drops back. Pretty much the only move, Knight G7 there, only move that doesn't like give the knight away. And then the queen slides over. So just trying to find anything I can. Keep the pieces very active. Keep them on the board. That's very important. I don't want to make trades here. And so he came in with his knight, and I was a little maybe more concerned about this than I should have been. Maybe not right now, but I didn't want to trade pieces, and my knight is hanging. So I got to move the knight, and that seems a reasonable square to do it. It's not contributing to the attack, so I want it over on this side of the board so it can help. And it also kind of holds f4 against this knight a little bit. And then I came up with this idea for a rook lift. And I think the computer wanted rook lift on like the previous move, and here it thinks it's a mistake. So like there's a lot going on here. It's a complicated position, and so the computer, a human game played like this. You know, we're both just like 1500 rated. We're not going to find the best moves in time trouble. I have 2 minutes left now, and it's like this is a pretty concrete idea. Rook lift, get it over. I thought about sliding king h1 in the game and getting the rook over to g1, and in the end decided I couldn't do that because of this diagonal, and you know, worried about him fianchettoing his light squared bishop, and then he's just going to have a discovered check at his pleasure sometime in the future. So rook d3 I figured was better than rook g1 for that reason. And then another thing, like I really think he should have held this, and he gets into time trouble and he can't, because this is a stone cold bluff on my part. I knew I had nothing. Every tactical opportunity I could see to try to make progress, I could kind of see like defenses for him, and I was wondering at some point if he ever played bishop d8 to, you know, make way for his queen to come over too, and then if he ever gets a queen trade, my attack is gone. Doesn't like takes. Interesting. Let's get rid of these arrows. Oh wait, I can't get rid of them. Yeah, I wanted to open things up for my rook, and I didn't really succeed in doing that. Queen g2 with the idea of getting the rook in front of the queen. And I wonder if, yeah, I thought it was funny that the computer likes a4 here. That's a computer line. You know, everything's going on over here, and you're going to push a pawn on the opposite side of the board. I don't even think it's worth taking time to understand that, because I don't see what it does. It's probably, but anyway, I didn't like rook here because you can just push. I wanted this battery, but after g5, I changed my mind and played rook h3, and then that's a really good move, I guess. Although it wasn't obvious to me immediately why, except takes. I can't take. Oh yeah, the pawn's pinned, so it's not immediately winning material. Well, that is immediately winning material. He wins the exchange. I recapture with the knight to pressure the pawn. And then he sets up something really tricky for me here. He's saying, hey, it's a free pawn, go ahead and take it. If you do, then you lose your queen because you're pinned. So that, yeah, doesn't work. And I'm glad I was able to see that. I only have 20 seconds left, and so I'm in quite a bit of time trouble here, so I'm playing pretty quickly. Yeah, so queen g4, best. You know, it's like my only chances are just to try to keep the attack going any way I can. And I saw maybe the queen infiltrating over here on e6. With a check, I mean, maybe something happens. Knight comes in, not wanting to trade pieces. Bring the knight into the game, or the bishop into the game. Up here, I mean, it seemed like a reasonable choice in time trouble. And then he got into too much time trouble, and he couldn't find a move here. Which is a shame because it was an interesting game. And, you know, a win is a win. You take it any way you can. I didn't like that it came in a losing position because of a bad decision that I made. But I tried to make it complicated and keep the attack alive. And, I mean, to that endeavor, I guess I succeeded. A lot to learn, a lot to take away from this game, for sure. It was a pretty interesting one, and a lot stronger of an opponent than I had in my first game. So yeah, that was game 2, post-mortem analysis, game 2. So thank you for watching, if you made it this far, and that is all for now.